My therapist, I don't know what's going on. She's retiring or something like that. So I got a new therapist now, a new psychologist, a new nurse practitioner, doctor. I don't even know their titles anymore.
Okay. Someone who does your medication.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried ketamine a long time ago. You remember that?
Right.
And they're running out of ideas. So they said, why don't we try esketamine, which I guess is ketamine, but it's a nasal spray instead of an IV injection.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, sure. If that's what you guys think, whatever. So I think I can say this because maybe she's retiring, so hopefully it won't harm her too much. She's saying, by the way, they're going to give you a questionnaire, and if you answer in such a way that it doesn't sound like you have depression, you're probably not going to get approved for it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I see what I understand what you're saying.
Factual information.
Yeah.
She just gave you information.
Yeah. She just reported factual information to me. It's true. It's true that if I don't have depression, they probably won't. They'll probably decline having me take the treatment. So that's fine. Anyway, so I received the thing. Normally, what I've done before, PHQ is what's called or something like that. What does that stand for?
Patient Health Questionnaire.
Okay, PHQ-9 or something like that, because it has 9 questions.
9 items.
Yeah. I've probably done that form like 10 or 20 times now because every doctor asked me to do that for my depression.
Right. You get it everywhere. Yeah.
This one, they gave me a different one. I'm like, whoa, this is a new one. This is Beck's Depression Inventory. Have you heard of that one?
Ah, the BDI.
Yeah. I mean, the way you responded reminds me of a thing I said a long, long time ago back in high school. Okay. So let me do this anecdote, this digression here. In high school, I was friends with this guy, and we talked about a lot of shit with my friends. And one of the things I told him is there's an easy way to bullshit yourself into any conversation. Anytime someone says some sort of technical term and you don't know what the fuck that is, you just reply.
Abbreviate it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you know the Beck's Depression Inventory? He said, oh, yeah, the BDI. I know that. Yeah.
Oh, the BDI. Yeah.
And so when you said that, I immediately reminded me of that conversation I had with him. So I'm doing the BDI, I'm answering the questions, and as I'm doing it, in the back of my mind, I have echoing over my shoulder. Remember, if you don't have depression, they're not... These questions are terrible for people who have Alexithymia or Asperger's or who are rationalists.
Yes.
You know the questions?
Yes. And people who have Alexithymia or Asperger's or anxiety or a highly technical mind hate them. Yes. We get that complaint all the time.
So in general, we hate medical forms.
Yeah.
But PHQ is nowhere as bad as the BDI. The BDI is so bad. PHQ, I've come to terms with. Here's PHQ-9. Low interest in pleasure in doing things, feeling down or depressed or hopeless, trouble falling asleep. So I read these questions, and the problem I have with PHQ-9 is the options are, it's the same for every question. So it's not at all several days, more than half the days, nearly every day. So it's a different question, but the answer is always the same. And the thing is, sometimes it's like, well, this happened one day. And there's no option for that. There's not all or several days, or even 2 days. I wouldn't call 2 several, So yeah, I don't like PHQ-9, but after having done it like 10 to 20 times, I'm like, okay, whatever. I get what they're going for. I can answer it the way I guess a neurotypical would, even though these are factually incorrect answers, but whatever. But now...
No, neurotypicals also do not enjoy these questions. That's a false dichotomy.
Okay, fine.
But
now I go to the BDI. First question, pick one of these. I do not feel sad. And then the other, I feel sad. I have Alexithymia, so I guess I do not feel sad. Off to a good start, right? I'm not particularly discouraged for the future. I feel discouraged. I have nothing to look for a future. It's hopeless. Things like that. I mean, I guess I feel discouraged about the future a little bit because of the current administration. So,
Right. That's not really what they're asking.
I do feel like a failure. I feel like I failed more than the average person. I look back and I see lots of failure, complete failure. I mean, I don't think I'm a failure. I think depression is nothing to be ashamed of.
Right.
I guess I don't enjoy things, but I never really enjoyed things ever, right? So, I mean, I guess I get as much satisfaction as I used to, which is 0. I've always not enjoyed things. Feel guilty all the time. I mean, I don't feel guilty. It's not my fault I have depression. I don't feel any guilt over it. 0. I don't feel I've...
I understand, but have you looked up the DSM criteria for depression?
No.
Right? Number 1 is feeling sad. Number 2 is feeling discouraged. Number 3 is feeling like a failure. Number 4 is guilt.
Yeah.
It's not the BDI's fault These are literally the
I
criteria.
feel I may be punished. I feel
the
I expected
reason
to be
that
punished.
you have treatment-resistant depression because you have alexithymia. You don't have typical depression, and so it's not very responsive
You're
to
like,
treatment.
who am I being punished by? What do they mean by that? Are they talking like God punished me? Is that what they're getting at?
When people have clinical depression, they report feeling like someone, something, some entity, their own brain. Depression is a state that you experience when you are losing or have lost something important to you, social status, a loved one, a life circumstances that you enjoy, something along those lines. And when people have lost something through their own actions or through the winds of fate or whatever, they often feel like it is a punisher. So they report as part of their depression that they feel like they're being punished. And who there is punishing them varies. People will say, oh, well, it feels like my brain is punishing me. My neurochemistry is punishing me. God is punishing me. Other people, my ex-wife is punishing me. You know, that varies, but the feeling of this loss is punishment is relatively invariant.
The way you say is so alien to the way I'm thinking.
Right.
I don't think anything's punishing
Because
me.
you have more alexithymia than you do depression. I totally get why the treatment is for depression, because you have periods where you're essentially catatonic, right? In terms of your functional ability.
Yeah.
And we associate catatonia with depression, and we're trying to treat that. But the reason that these items don't
You're saying
resonate
I
with
might not
you,
even be depressed? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying you don't meet the diagnostic criteria or the entity that is typically being the symptom pattern that is typically being referred to by the diagnosis of major depression.
That surprises
Who
me.
knows what that is?
I know you're being very careful in your phrasing here, but that's not the part I'm concerned about. So I'm trying to get you out of that so that we can move the conversation forward more quickly. My impression was that lay people incorrectly think depression is sadness when it's something more complicated. And one of the aspects of that more complicated true version, where true defined as medical consensus, is this apathy and this catatonia and this no energy to do anything, which the thing I'm describing, catatonia and no energy, and I definitely have that. I don't have sadness. I agree with you on that. But when you're saying the DSM defines depression as sadness and BDI is just following that, that's why they ask you, are you sad? And you're not sad. Like, if I'm not sad, that means I don't have depression, right? If we define depression as sadness, then because I'm not sad, that means I don't have depression.
Right. Criteria A1 of depression, which you have to meet the criteria, is feeling sad or down.
Okay.
In children, it can be irritability, but that is criteria A1. Without that, you do not pass go. You're all done with the interview.
This is shocking to me.
But
Because
technically,
my whole experience was that that's a misconception, and you don't have to be sad to have depression.
Right.
So I might not even have depression.
and
We're doing the wrong thing.
Right. And that's why it's been so treatment resistant, is you have more of a catatonic state. You have an amotivational state and apathetic, that sort of thing. And we don't have a good name for that. And there is a subtype of people who we just tend to think of that as a subtype of depression. But we're thinking that against the DSM. Like, we're literally diagnosing something that the DSM says that we can't. Is the criteria are like feeling worthless, feeling guilty, feeling loss of pleasure, but to enjoy, right?
Yeah, okay, sure. But I don't care about the DSM. What I care about is finding a treatment for what I have. The DSM creates this category, but I don't know if this category matches medical response or medicational response or whatever, right?
Right.
So who cares what
does,
the DSM says?
which is why
what I care about is like, what do I do now?
That's why your symptoms have been so treatment resistant. You might have noticed your treatment response is not awesome. And it's because you do not well match the sample whom these treatments were created.
But you're saying there's not even a name for the thing I have?
We used to pretty comfortably call it catatonia or amotivational syndrome, but none of those are in the DSM anymore. So younger psychologists, younger psychiatrists have never even heard these terms.
I wish you had told me this before, like
or
4 years
things
ago,
more-
because I feel like I wasted a lot of
Oh.
time on treatments that aren't going to work for me now, knowing this is the case.
I mean, we don't have great treatments for catatonia. So you've probably been getting the best options. But unfortunately, finding the one of those not quite perfect options that does end up working is probably going to be tricky.
See, what I'm understanding here is like in the cluster of spaces, like these are related conditions and medications that work together. This is something, and this is something like they're clustering, right? And the DSM is saying, oh yeah, all
Right.
of this, we call this depression. And so when drug researchers are like, what does the guy have? And then it says, oh, he has depression. So it could be any of these things that the guy has. And then they make some drug and they give it to these people because these are the people they're testing it on. And then they're like, oh, yeah, it works on these people. When really it works on these people, doesn't work on these people. But because we use the same label, they don't know that. They don't know which point you are.
Right.
So they're like, okay, maybe this works. But it sounds like you're saying, well, actually, I have this thing, which is not even what the DSM is describing. And so there's no reason to think that this drug that treats this would have any effect on this.
So when a person has depression, they experience low motivation and low pleasure and feelings of like numbness or something like that. In DSM-based depression, those are losses of things. And so that's what the items are asking about. And loss is not the right way to characterize it. It's more like it becomes more functionally impairing, right?
I don't even think that's the right way to describe it. So let me,
how would you?
what is it called? BDI. I don't feel sad. I don't feel, well, I'm discouraged. Just the current thing. Failure, says. Okay, here, this is a good one. This is not a loss. I don't enjoy things, but I've always not enjoyed things.
Right.
But not enjoying things, that's not what I'm looking for a cure for. I'm not looking for a drug that will make me enjoy things. I'm looking for a drug that makes it so that I can go to work and earn money and then pay my rent, be a functioning adult.
Right. And something else is happening, right? You normally have low motivation, alexithymia.
No, normally I have okay motivation. I mean, I wasn't like an entrepreneurial go-getter, wake up at 5 a.m., have 3 jobs type of person. But when I have a problem, I can go solve it. I can solve all my own problems. And I had surplus capacity that when my friends had problems, I could go solve their problems for them.
Right.
And this has nothing to do with having satisfaction in life, feeling a failure, being sad, being guilty.
Okay, one of the BDI items is about motivation, right?
Let's see. Guilty, punished, disappointed.
Can work about as long as before.
This one,
it takes extra effort.
This one,
that's the item. Motivation is one of the items. So you could do that one. And there is a subtype of depression that is depression with catatonia. But catatonia and depression are overlapping. And the drugs and treatment options for depression are not for catatonia. They are for the depression. And so they're trying to get as close as they can to the treatment options that are available for you.
That's exactly this diagram, right? They're treating this, but I want this. This is what I want treated. This stuff. I don't care about this stuff.
The blue and the green do overlap. The blue and the green don't overlap in that small circle.
Yeah, you can think of this as the probability cloud, right? With the and then. So then you got this zone here.
That's where you're at, and that makes it tricky because that's not what the drugs are targeting.
Yeah. But again, you should have told me this 4 years ago.
I do not feel like I have ever withheld any of my opinions because you don't seem to appreciate like soft pedaling or anything like that. So if I haven't been direct enough, I apologize. I thought I've been super clear that like my diagnosis of you would be alexithymia with periods of catatonia.
Yeah, it's definitely not clear. Because the thing is, I think I came to you and said, hey, I think I have alexithymia. This was like before I was even in the press. And you're like, yeah, obviously. And I'm like, what do you mean, obviously? You know, you didn't tell me. It's like, yeah. So first of all, I had to figure out for my own self that I was alexithymic. And this was like 10 years ago. And then we like
I
We'll like
have a different memory
and
of
then we'll like
this situation.
joke around about alexithymia over the years, including today, for example.
Mhm.
But I never thought of my alexithymia as like, I better go get that cured. Instead, 4 years ago ish, I got a new thing, which is depression. And I'm like, oh, Steph, I have depression. And like, yeah, that sucks. You say, oh, the meds are working. Like, yeah, sounds about right. And the whole time, you never bring up, by the way, you don't have depression. You have catatonia. And also, I'm diagnosing you with alexithymia, in the sense of like, you never diagnosed me with alexithymia. I self-diagnosed and you confirmed, but I didn't see alexithymia as being a problem to solve. It's like saying, I'm diagnosing you as Asian and catatonic. Yeah, I am Asian, but I didn't think that was part of the problem of what I'm experiencing now.
I have a different memory of the situation.
Okay, so are you saying that alexithymia is something I should go look into curing?
Unfortunately, we don't have a cure for alexithymia. So no, we don't know anything that treats it. And most people who have alexithymia are not even particularly motivated for treatment because they're not really motivated for much of anything.
Yeah, I'm not motivated to treat my alexithymia. I only want to treat the part where I'm not a functioning member of adult society. So I don't know why you're bringing alexithymia into it at all. Just like I wouldn't know, hypothetically, if you were to bring my Asianness into it, I wouldn't know why you were bringing it in at all.
There's two reasons. One is that people with alexithymia are more prone to catatonia.
Okay.
So it's relevant in that way.
Okay.
It's a vulnerability factor. The second is that it complicates treatment in the sense that many people are motivated to reach treatment goals or are better able to monitor whether they're reaching those goals, things like that, because they get that emotional feedback. Catatonia is difficult to treat anyway. Any diagnosis plus alexithymia is harder to treat. So catatonia plus alexithymia is harder to treat than just catatonia. Depression's treatable, but chronic depression is harder because the person's not as motivated to do therapy. They can't really report as well on whether or not the treatment's working. They have trouble doing some of the treatments at all that are focused on cognitive restructuring. Like when you realize you're not being punished, people with catatonic depression are like, I don't feel that way. Right. So it's relevant in terms of treatment resistance.
I feel like I am better able to monitor than, I guess, the median person with depression.
Okay. Yes. In the sense of you're more objective.
Yeah. Also in the sense that I apply all my engineering cognitive abilities to the problem.
Yeah.
This is sort of a tangent, but some of the things my therapist said to me blows my mind about like, wait, this is what normal people are like? And one of the things is like,
Right.
They don't realize that you can think about your problem to solve it. Like you have a problem and you're like, well, let's think about it. Let's see what the solutions could be.
Right.
Like, right. And she was, because like, I'm, like, I don't even, me saying it out loud, it sounds so dumb. It's like, by the way, you should breathe oxygen so you can stay alive. It's like, so I'm telling her, and then she's surprised. I'm like, what do you mean you're surprised? You're saying the normal person doesn't do this?
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? What I meant was more like you don't have an intuitive sense of like, hey, are things going, are you starting to feel better or worse?
Yeah, but I claim that
you just feel like good progress. No, I get it.
I claim that
but
the
like,
neurotypical doesn't. Now I have an answer, but their answer is wrong. Self-reporting is unreliable, etc.
Correct. But what the treatment for depression does is
it makes them self-report that they're better, even if they're not. So when I go to my therapist or my nurse practitioner, my person, here's my spreadsheet. Look at this.
Great. It's beautiful.
Wake up at this time.
She has no
here's
idea.
My prediction. Here's what meds I took on that day. Here's my blood pressure. Here's at the end of the day what my focus was. Here's how much energy I had. Did I cook that day or did I just order food? Did I take naps? Here, see, yes, 5 hours on this one. I took a 5-hour nap. Here's a 6-hour nap. Did I work here? It's always no because I haven't gone back to work. But at the bottom, you see it detracted from since 2022.
Yeah.
Which days did I miss doses? Because sometimes I feel like so much shit I don't even take the meds.
So
what's my answer to
PHQ
every day?
Tracker.
Not just when they ask me, every day. No symptoms, but here it's like feeling down, depressed, feeling tired, and so on. But then I sleep. Was my sleep interrupted or did I sleep through the night? Was I up until 5 a.m. looking at TikTok? How many hours did I actually end up sleeping? Everything they asked me, I have the data back into 5 years, right? So anything they want to know, I got it. And not just like, oh, probably 5 years ago, I got 8 hours of sleep. No, I can tell you how many hours of sleep I got on that day.
I understand. But when they say, do you feel like you're being punished less?
No, I don't feel like I'm being punished at all.
Exactly, that's the
Me. I'm
problem.
not religious.
I understand. I understand.
This isn't a punishment. And I don't feel shame for being depressed. I don't feel guilty for being depressed because it's not my fault. Why would I feel guilty?
Right.
And am I worse off than other people? Probably not. First of all, I live in North America. So already like probably living better than 80% of the population of the world.
This is why I don't think you have depression. It has a different etiology, different symptoms.
Yeah, but so when you say like, this is why I don't think you have depression, I feel like over the last 5 years, it's like, oh, Steph, I have depression. What do I do? And I don't remember you ever saying you don't have depression. So stop doing all these things that help cure depression because that's not what you have. I feel like if you had said that to me, that would have been a shocking revelation, just like it is right now. A shocking revelation.
Okay. My memory of it is different, and I can't do anything else except apologize.
I remember like the most vivid example I can think of. It's like I keep saying, oh, Steph, I have depression, and you're like, oh yeah, read this guy's book about this guy about how depressed he is, about how he's dealing with his depression. Which, like, that's not saying I agree with you that you have depression, but that's strongly implying that there was a journalist who wrote a book about his journey through depression and how he thinks it's like a natural aspect of capitalist society or something like that.
Oh, like Johann Hari's
Yes, that's it. Yes,
connection.
Yes.
I did not mean to imply that you should find a book helpful. I find that book really fascinating, but I don't remember saying this would be helpful for you.
Well, I mean, how did I end up reading it for him then?
I don't know. You've read a lot of books that I like on Goodreads.
It's because you
add them to your
told
list.
me about it. Anyway.
Yeah,
so again,
I told you about
telling
it.
me, yeah, you didn't explicitly say you're right. You have depression, and here's a book that'll help you. But like when what's the guy's name whose name starts with R? Rice or Rice Rice? This is of relevant conversational rules.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I have depression, and you're like, oh, you should read this book. Because of those rules. Like, oh, so that means you agree with me that I have depression.
Okay, my understanding of it was your first two self-diagnoses. Many years ago when we first met, I rejected both of them in favor of alexithymia. I do not agree with you that you self-diagnosed and came to me with this, but we can have different memories about it. And then I thought we had talked quite a bit about your periods of catatonia and that you were using depression as a shorthand the way that a lot of psychiatrists do, because we don't tend to talk about catatonia. We tend to just talk about this as depression, meaning the type of catatonia you sometimes see in depression. And I feel like I had clarified that a number of times, but you don't feel that way, which I understand. But my memory is that I had clarified, oh, I agree that it's catatonia, but not quite depression. And that you kept pushing back and saying, well, that's just what we're calling it or what the psychiatrist is calling it. And that we were then using it as shorthand for a state that's similar to, but not identical to depression. And that we both understood that's why it's been so treatment resistant. So I apologize. We've had lots of conversations about like, why aren't the antidepressants working? I thought I had been more clear. I apologize if you don't.
What this is reminding me of, this conversation that you're having right now, is context windows and LLMs. Sometimes I don't know what they call negative memories, anti-memories. Like someone said this event happened, and I'm like, I'm confident that event did not happen. I have an anti-memory of it. But this thing you're describing now, I don't have an anti-memory of it. So I'm like, well, maybe it did happen. Maybe we did have that conversation where I told you, oh, we're just calling it depression as a shorthand. I don't remember it, but I don't have an anti-memory of it.
Okay.
And so now I'm thinking, if it did happen, then did it fall out of my context window? Have I spent so much time self-labeling as having depression that I forgot that I don't have depression?
Right. I don't know. And I think that psychiatrists would be comfortable being confusing about that without meaning to. They're going to use depression as well and forget that they don't really mean depression because you have these symptoms that are similar to depression, and it becomes easier to talk about it that way.
Yeah, but now that
And
we
then
know about context windows, it's
then
dangerous to talk about it this way,
careful. Yeah,
apparently.
it is. It is. Yes, I think
Because
so.
it's going to fall
Yes.
out of your context
And I think
window, and then
unfortunately,
like everything in your context window has the word depression in it, and then
exactly. Right. Right. And I do think that happens for a lot of people. I think that that's part of what's happening in the mental health world. We're also being too precise and imprecise in ways that like are, well, they can't put down catatonia on your medical record because it's not in the DSM as a separate syndrome. So it doesn't get paid for.
yeah, it's relevant in the way that this diagram what I was trying to get at too, which is the DSM
Right.
creates a label, and by doing so, they are saying certain points in cluster space are members of that label and certain points are not.
Yeah.
And when drug makers are like, I'm going to make a drug for depression, they don't know a priori does the person have depression, like in some sort of absolute truth sense.
Right.
All they know is that this person got the diagnosis based on the DSM, which could mean anything. It could be any of these points. We don't know.
There's 247 different ways that you can meet the criteria for depression.
Okay. And the thing is, especially if the notion of what depression is changes over time, where you're saying, oh, psychologists think of catatonia as part of it or something. I don't want to say this too much because I don't want to put words in your mouth because I don't know exactly what you said.
Right.
But I'm just hand waving here. If this shape is changing, then the drug targeted the old shape of DSM depression, and now there's a new shape for DSM depression. Then it doesn't even, we're not even talking about the same thing when I'm like, give me a drug to cure the thing that I have.
Right. The philosopher Ian Hacking calls this looping, where defining a syndrome a certain way creates an understanding that people start living their experience that way, and they start describing their experience that way to clinicians who then further shape it. And it's this iterative process. It's changing over time, and how we understand it is changing over time. It's quite complicated.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is really important to remember that this is catatonia, not classic DSM depression, in the sense that that might mean that the criteria that have been developed for DSM depression, or at least some version of it, that has shaped treatment options, those ones might not work for this other. Right? It is important. This is my problem with people self-diagnosing, because then the shape gets so big and then it starts getting so weird and twisted, and it might mean something very different. It's my problem with the mental health conversations on TikTok, because it gets so bizarre and distorted, and it starts including blurring of lines that actually need to be kept straight, and it starts including melding of concepts that would be better kept distinct. It's a concern.